Hey everyone, this is Michael with Quiet Lawn. I wanted to make a video stating 3 possible reasons you might see your lawn turning brown this time of year. This is the summer, this is the growing season for our grasses, our warm season grasses here in the south. You should see your grass doing well. The only circumstances that they won't be would generally be covered by these 3 situations. So first situation is very common, and it happens a lot when we treat lawns, is that you have certain areas of your lawn, especially wet ones, because we had a really wet spring and early summer. You have wet areas that are covered with grassy weeds like sedges and different kinds of grassy weeds like that, and we go and treat it, and a few weeks after we treat, those weeds of course die, and you have those bare spots, and people attribute that to the grass dying, and they just couldn't tell the difference between those grassy weeds and their grass, their species of grass. Second reason is you have some kind of insect or possibly disease issue. So right now, real common is something called armyworms or sod webworms. We did send out videos that if you're seeing signs of that and you're coming outside and your lawn is looking different over a period of a couple days, you're seeing areas that just look like they're eaten to the ground. That's typically the early indicator of webworms, and you just need to contact us and let us know so that we can address that before it becomes a big problem. But the most common thing we see in the summer, and the reason your lawn starts to turn brown, is due to drought stress and lack of enough water. Water is crucial to all life. Us, plants, animals, all need water to survive. And we had a wet spring and early summer, and we were getting plenty of water, but that's kind of changed, and we've gotten into a dry pattern here the last few weeks. What you're seeing first is you start to see drought stress in your lawn if you're not watering enough. So I don't know if you can see it in the videos, but you can see these areas that start to turn kind of grayish or bluish. You can see this area right here looks different than the surrounding grass that's like vibrant green. And what happens right there is called needling. It's basically the blades of grass, they start to curl up into a needle. It's kind of protecting itself from the sunlight. And that's why it gives that different appearance. If that continues and you don't water your lawn or you don't get rain, eventually those spots start to die off. And this is an example. This is my lawn. My lawn's usually really good shape, but I went out of town to Virginia for a few days last week, just 3 or 4 days, and when I came back, this area right here had a lot of dead grass in it. This area typically gets drought stress first. It's by the road. You've got this, constant heat from the concrete. These are the areas that you typically see dry out first and get drought stressed. These areas, and then areas that are wide open out in the sun. But just in the course of 3 or 4 days of me being gone, this area went from being drought stressed to losing large parts of the grass, large parts of it dying off. We hear all the time people say, oh, but we were, when you say you need to water more, we had a lot of rain and stuff earlier this summer. Well, that doesn't matter. Just like you and I could drink a bunch of water a month ago and be very well hydrated. If we stopped drinking water for the last couple of weeks, we'd still be dead. Same with your grass. It has no system to be able to store that water for a long time. So, while we get lots of rain earlier in the summer and the grass was loving it and the weeds were loving it, it only takes a week or two of really hot weather, dry weather to, undo all that good and kill your grass. So back here's another good example. This area is always pretty dry out here. It doesn't have the shade from the house a large part of the day. It's just directly out in the sun. I don't water this area much because it's the backyard. And you can see this area is started, to have some loss. You can see it started to get drought stressed. That's the different appearance, the bluish grayish appearance of the grass, where the grass blades are curling up. And you can see in the areas that are even drier over here, a lot of that drought stress, which will recover just fine as long as you get water, you get rain. A lot of that has started to die off in these areas that are drier. So you can get down close and you can see, parts of the grass is actually dying off there due to that. So, what you need to do is you need to start watering. more frequently and for longer duration. Irrigation systems are only meant to supplement rainfall. It's very hard for an irrigation system to get out the amount of water that you can with rain. So even watering pretty heavily with your irrigation system, it's often hard to keep up with the needs of the grass, because like I said, they're only meant to supplement the rain. And if we're getting long dry periods like is normal here in our area, to have droughts for weeks or maybe a month or more, you really got to try to give your grass as much of help as you can, because putting fertilizer on your lawn is not magic. No amount of food can overcome the need for water. For your grass to thrive, to thicken up, to green up, it needs to have a sufficient amount of water. Your lawn, if it doesn't, it's going to pull back. It's going to reserve its, try to preserve itself. It's not going to put energy into growth and thickening up. It's going to try to survive. It's going to go into drought stress mode, and it's going to try to survive, and it's going to shed any parts above the ground that it can to try to preserve its root system. And you just got to understand that, and you got to understand that you got to water. If you want to have a nice lawn in times like this, you just got to water. And it's different for everybody. There is no one size fits all. We make some recommendations for watering, but you have to adjust for that, because your soil might be different than mine. A lot of parts of this area, they have very thick clay soils that retain moisture, and a lot of parts are very sandy, so you have to water more often because that water drains through. Or like I said, we have different types of irrigation systems, different areas in your lawn that are more or less shaded that need more water. So you really just have to look at it, and it's pretty easy. If you start seeing signs of drought stress in a certain area, water that area more. If I came out here and I watered this area with a water hose for a good 10 minutes, when I come back out here tomorrow, this area will be greened up and it will be matching the rest of the grass. So it's really something that you have to adjust throughout the season. While you didn't have to water much at all a month ago when we were getting rain 2 or 3 days a week, now you might have to water 2, 3, 4 days a week just to make up for the fact that we're not getting any rain. Hey everyone, Michael with Quiet Lawn. Doing a follow-up video to the last one where I showed you the drought stress in my lawn and the importance of watering. If you were in question about whether or not water was the issue, I think this is makes it pretty obvious. This is less than a week after that video was made. We got the heavy rain from the tropical storm, and you can see that, aside from some of the areas that died off, that were just burnt up, the lawn has made a pretty massive recovery just in a very short period of time. Back here in the back, you'll remember we had this huge drought stress spot. We had this area over here that was drought stress that had also lost some grass that had gotten, let it go too far, and the grass had died off. But you can see, these spots have basically just about recovered to 100%, just like the existing lawn. Over here in this area was very badly drought stressed. Also had some grass die off here in a few little areas, but you can see that the grass has rebounded very well and it's making a good recovery. Like I always say, proper watering, adequate watering is 75% plus of having a nice lawn.